And this is some big news. Hilton announcing today that EV owners will in fact have a place to charge their vehicles. Thank you, Tesla. Tell us more about that.
Interesting partnership when you think about what this means.
The more ubiquitous we can have the charging capability, the more inclined travelers will be to stay with us.
Oh, really appreciated. You've made it. You've done it. You're rich yourself. And we teased it. What are people, we always talk about what to do. What do we not do right now?
All that and more, so let's get to it. Almost an hour from the closing bell on Friday, Tesla is down almost 1.5%. For the week, Tesla is down nearly 4%. Over the past 30 days, Tesla is positive, but just barely. Year to date, Tesla is up 109%. But if you go back 12 months, Tesla is still down nearly 12%. The only thing that each of those charts have in common is Tesla's extreme volatility. And don't get me started on my options activity. I only have 3 options open and they don't expire until December at the earliest, but let's just say the last week has been wrought with peril. Just to give you an example, look at Tesla stock jump. At about 8:40, I got it in my head that maybe, just maybe, Tesla was going to have a 8 to 12% day. Cue the sad Price is Right music. Close enough. But as you can see, that did not occur. If only I'd have put a put in at that moment, as my indicator suggested. But alas, I went with my gut, and my gut now makes me want to throw up all over myself.
It's time for a look at developing stories. Let's bring in Kevin Green, senior markets correspondent here on Schwab Network. And this is some big news. Hilton announcing today that EV owners will in fact have a place to charge their vehicles. Thank you, Tesla. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, Hilton already has around 1,148 U.S. Hilton or Tesla chargers, if you will, and they are going to expand that. They did announce today that they're going to expand that to over 20,000 Tesla universal wall chargers here at around 2,000 properties. And this is just a way for them to be able to obviously cater to their customers, but also acknowledging the fact that the EV revolution is starting to take hold here. Now, the specific locations are not identified at this point in time, but you should suspect that we will probably see a pretty significant focus when it comes to California, Texas, and some of the other markets that have seen a really big boom when it comes to the EV charging, the EV market in itself here. So right now we are seeing the shares for both companies down on the session, but we are seeing a lot of volatility in the equity market as a whole. But I would be very curious to see if we see other competitors for Hilton taking the same type of steps here. And this is, once again, one of the areas of Tesla that continues to grow at a rapid pace. Actually, it's the fastest portion of their business that is growing right now. And it's the one that actually does generate the most profit or has the best operating margins, if you will. So this is a very interesting opportunity when it comes to Tesla. I would not be surprised if we continue to hear other news like this coming from other competitors, not only just within the hospitality space, but in other spaces as well, especially when it comes to retail.
Yeah, understood. All right, making it more and more available to folks.
Hold on, cash register, I'm getting there. If you hadn't heard, Hilton is going to be putting more charging at their hotel. Range anxiety is one of the 3 things that might impact a potential consumer of the electric vehicle. If you are a hotel and you expect customers to travel to your establishment, you better have a way to charge that consumer's vehicle. The wife and I went to Padre Island. We flew. But the next time we do go, we're gonna wanna drive. So part of our vacation was strolling up and down that beachfront looking for not just any chargers, but Tesla chargers. Hilton understands that, and pretty soon, all of their competitors will understand that as well.
I have my eyes on Tesla shares all day today. A big partnership with Hilton. They're going to be bringing those Tesla superchargers to Hilton. Over 20,000 chargers are going to be at different Hilton brands, and they're going to connect over 2,000 chargers, and you can install 20,000 chargers total. Interesting partnership when you think about what this means for Hilton. There you go. There's the full metrics. It's 2,000 hotels. It's 20,000 chargers, and you can charge up to 6 cars per hotel. And so it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, I think, for what it means for Hilton, because I would think this helps you get people that drive Teslas to your hotel and is a benefit for Hilton as a business specifically. And that to me is part of what Elon Musk's pitch has been with these chargers, is bring the chargers to your business and the people that drive my cars are going to come to your business more.
Right.
And I think really what we're seeing here is Tesla play into providing their chargers in multiple different opportunities. A few weeks ago, we were talking about Tesla inventing a diner for people to crowd. And so really, I feel like Elon Musk has done a pretty interesting job at sort of creating a community around Tesla drivers and really inviting people now with this Hilton partnership, but really sort of a monopoly of sorts where they are attracted to go to places that have a Tesla. And we were talking about the specific charger that Tesla now has control over it. Honda in a few years will get access to the same type of charger.
Oh, yeah, just in case you hadn't heard, Honda is now going to adopt the NACS as well. But by looking at the stock chart, this simply doesn't tell the story how Tesla's going to be dominating in the next few years.
And really, Tesla doing a great job here at creating themselves as a leader in the EV space.
Yeah, it seems like Tesla is making sure that its chargers are available to as many places as possible and really monopolizing that market. And I think the more the EV market matures, and you're already seeing so many of these car manufacturers lean into the EV boom, the more you're going to see this, not just at hotels, but also, you know, more superchargers maybe when you're driving on the highway. I think right now that's something that's lacking. But as more people adopt EVs, obviously you have government incentives as well. That's going to be more and more the norm.
My head just immediately went to rental cars. And I don't know if I was online booking travel last night, so I was looking at rental cars and hotels and things like that. But I was like, think about that combo, right? If you can get a lot of rental cars, say deal with Hertz or something, in a major city like New York, or even maybe in more of a driving city, go down to the Carolinas where you drive a little bit more in between places, but you have a relatively medium distance. You can charge the car at your hotel all the time. It just seems like it matches up well for the whole travel experience. And then if you're Tesla and you can find yourself in the middle of that travel experience, would think you'd be pretty beneficial. But I don't know. I guess I'm extrapolating a little bit.
Right.
Oh no, buddy. You're on the right track. Battery electric vehicles are a commercial inevitability, mainly because Tesla has made them superior to internal combustion engines in almost every single way.
Tesla is announcing plans to bring 20,000 universal wall connectors to thousands of Hilton hotels across the United States, Canada, Mexico. Seema Modi has more. This is a kind of game changer, isn't it?
It is a game changer, Tyler, because for Hilton, they see it as imperative to driving bookings. Adding these electric charging stations to its properties, they say, will also come in the face of the hotel industry really facing growing customer frustration. In total, an additional 20,000 wall connectors will be installed across 2,000 hotels. These connectors can be used not only by Tesla cars, but any U.S.-made electric vehicle. And Hilton says these stations will drive or play a role in driving sales as electric car adoption is set to increase steadily over the coming year.
Not steadily, madam, exponentially.
No doubt it was a limiting factor to not have charging capabilities. And so we think this will essentially surmount that limitation and allow any traveler, business or leisure, to take advantage of this charging capability now. The more ubiquitous we can have the charging capability, the more inclined travelers will be to stay with us.
EV charging is a top search inquiry on Hilton.com, often playing a role in converting search to stays. And the rollout comes as business travel season kicks off this month amid a flurry of conferences from the Apex Summit to Dreamforce. And it's worth noting that hotel occupancy and pricing have both weakened in recent months. We've been talking about how so many people were going to Europe that really put a lot of pressure on the U.S. hotel market. So this next coming month is going to be huge for the industry.
Fascinating stuff. Fascinating. Really? Who's paying to the installation?
Tesla is, yeah.
Tesla's
so Hilton
paying.
will identify the properties where it makes most sense to install those charging stations. It's Tesla that sees this as an opportunity just to increase mass adoption. So they're fronting the bill.
Who's paying up now?
Who's paying
Tables
now?
turn.
All right, Seema, thanks.
Not gonna lie, it kind of surprises me that Tesla would be footing this bill in its entirety. Maybe Tesla has plans to accrue more revenue, especially in the later years in 2025, 2026, when the other auto manufacturers actually had the NACS chargers on their vehicles. Let's just say Tesla's no dummy when it comes to making money. Speaking of a dummy with money, this next segment is more of a PSA for me.
So sitting at home right now, or maybe commuting back home or at your desk in California, you may be getting worried, especially after a big run to start the year. What do I do? But here's the key. Don't try to outsmart yourself. And more importantly, listen to advice from folks like your next guest. He's one of the most highly rated wealth managers in the world, many times ranked #1 in the entire country. He's the Alabama Crimson Tide, if you will, of wealth managers. And he's here now to help with some tips to help you stay calm, and it will not cost you a dime. Joining us now is Peter Malucchi, is the CEO and president of wealth management firm Creative Planning with a tidy $245 billion under management. They recently bought Goldman Sachs' personal financial management unit. Peter, great to have you on. Last call, really appreciated. You've made it, you've done it, you're rich yourself. And we teased it. What are people, we always talk about what to do. What do we not do right now?
Well,
I think if you look at what's interesting about this market is there's been so many times in the past for people to completely freak out about all kinds of things. COVID was the most recent one, the biggest 34%, the quickest 34% drop in history, 08, 09, 9/11, tech bubble. I mean, people are emotionally scarred. And now we're going through one of the longest corrections in the last 30 years. It's very rare to be this long without going back to a market high. And just now, people are starting to get impatient. And when people get impatient, even before they were just traumatized, now they're impatient. And when people are impatient, that's where they make mistakes. And if you really look at what separates that multimillionaire next door from everybody else, is the multimillionaire next door does not lose patience. They don't lose their minds in markets like this, and they focus on the long game.
maybe I should be placing calls that expire in 2025? Maybe.
Why do people, and I say this with respect and love to anybody listening or watching who has done this, so maybe it's human nature. Why do people tend to sell at the wrong times, Peter?
I think it's just human nature. I think if you think about people who have investments, they've usually done really well at something. So if you're an architect or you're an athlete or you're a doctor, you're sitting with the other athletes, architects, and doctors and going, well, if I'm better than them, it's because I worked harder or I'm smarter. And so you think that carries over to investments and that somehow you're going to outsmart the most efficient market in the world. And you tend to do what you do in your other job. You bring in pieces of information, you work a little harder, you study a little harder, you study a little smarter. But the issue is, unlike your other job, this is far more dynamic. There are thousands of variables coming in. You can nail everything perfectly, and if there's a cyber attack tomorrow, forget it. I mean, you just can't make tactical, everyday decisions and expect to win.
You can't outsmart the market. That's been my experience.
And this is, I'm going to say something that I'll say it because you can't, because these are your clients. And I say this again out of a deep respect, met a lot of really successful people. You know, you start something, you build a company, you sell it, you become rich. People, it's a question, tend to overestimate their ability at something else, i.e. investing, if they also happen to be really good and successful at something totally different. I think they do.
Well, you're 100% right. I mean, there's an interesting study that says when somebody says I'm 99% sure of something, the odds that they're actually right are about 75%. We all overestimate
That's
everything.
random but interesting, Peter.
Yeah. You also look at all these studies like, am I a top quartile driver? Am I top quartile or a husband or dad or whatever? Everyone says that they are. We all overestimate ourselves. And so if you have been successful in one thing, you expect it to translate into something else. And we see that a lot with our clients. I mean, if you really hit a grand slam in business or anything else, it's very hard to replicate it somewhere else. You know, you can see that from Michael Jordan all the way to the typical business owner. But I will say this about the typical multimillionaire next door. They really are prudent, disciplined, calm people in general.
Damn, I don't think I'm any of those things. I mean, don't get me wrong, I have a spectrum of prudence. It's just not as high as some other people. I mean, I have some discipline, I have some self-control. I just don't think it's very high on the spectrum. But I'm getting there. I'm getting there, though. Maybe.
They're boring. You know, they're not going to get a lot of press time because they really are making methodical decisions. They're much more about consistency and discipline and repeating the right behaviors over and over. That's how they became wealthy, and that's how they stay wealthy. But there is that segment that tries to hit the grand slam again, and usually doesn't work out.
Your boy is at bat, trying to hit a grand slam. Maybe I should be a little more disciplined. Food for thought, PSA for me, if you take a little bit from it, by all means. Even if you think you've got it all figured out, the market will be happy to throw a monkey wrench into your system. My key takeaway, never stop learning, always keep improving. There's always something to get better at. In conclusion, Tesla will be installing superchargers all over North America at Hilton establishments. There are many benefits to Hilton, Tesla drivers, but more importantly, this will be a continuous stream of revenue as Teslas and non-Teslas continue to charge at these stations. Another big IQ move from Tesla that the stock market just doesn't seem to recognize. As the highly decorated detective Alonzo Harris might say, this chess, it ain't checkers. That's all I got for you today. Be easy. Peace.